Morning, my fellow Canadians. I came across a name, Norman Traversy. Now remember that name, Norman Traversy. I posted what I saw and what I read, and I shared it on my Facebook page, and I shared it with anybody who follows me or watches the things I put out there. Because to me, it is one of the most frighteningly awful things I've seen regarding the current state of our country. There is a gentleman who's using the law, to go after the Trudeau government. And the Trudeau government is using the law illegally and improperly to try to shut him down. They are engaging in more illegal activity to try to shut this guy down. What surprised me is that even papers like the Toronto Sun, who have always been critical of Trudeau and the Trudeau governments and the Liberals. Now, I don't know if the National Post has put out anything on him. I would love to see both those newspapers give him more ink. Because if, and I say if, what he is doing and what he is saying is accurate, and I have no reason to doubt it, he supports everything with documentation and fact, then the current sitting government is even more corrupt and venal than I had thought it to be. Now, I mentioned that name, Norman Traversy, because I would not be surprised if there's a little sidebar in the paper how a gentleman, retired firefighter suffering from illness and PTSD, decided to commit suicide. Now, we've seen this in the United States. We've seen people who were prepared to testify against high-profile people suddenly decide to end their lives just before they're due to testify. The one, if it's true, someone was scheduled to testify against Hillary Clinton and remarkably committed suicide by putting 2 bullets into the back of his head. Now, I don't know about you, but 2 bullets, bang, bang. Generally, I think the first one would kind of stop you, but he managed to get off 2 bullets before he died. Much like Jeffrey Epstein, no doubt. Would the Liberal government descend to that depth? Would they descend to a hit, an assassination, to shut down somebody who is in danger of seriously hurting them and embarrassing them? 10 years ago, I'd have said, no, the idea is preposterous. Today, given the absolute lack of any kind of moral center on behalf of Trudeau and the Liberals, given the absolute naked lust for power by the federal Liberals, this desire to hold on to power at any cost, I do not see this as being outside of the realm of possibility. And I say that with a sadness I can't begin to describe, that the country I love has potentially descended to those depths. I would urge everybody, watch it. I posted it, watch it. Look up the name, Norman Traversy, see what he's doing, spread it around, share it. Because if he really does gain legs in his legal action, this government might be brought down before an election can be called. And all I can say to that is good riddance to bad rubbish. I was, of course, the Minds of World morning coffee, kickstart the old metabolism there. I never thought I would live to see the day when Canada would be my country, our country, would be such a mess. I never thought I would see the day when the Canadian people would put into power such a corrupt, un-Canadian, treasonous, traitorous bunch of scum. And yet, people sit there and will still vote Liberal. I would love to see a strong Conservative candidate come forward, a strong leader. I'm starting to lean personally towards Leslyn Lewis, who would come forward with courage and passion, shake up the complacency of the Canadian people and say, we cannot go down this path any further. Will we? I don't know. I hope and pray we do. In my dreams and fantasies, I see the Liberal Party of Canada reduced to the same status as the Liberal Party of Ontario, which is non-party status. They don't hold enough seats. Now, we all know realistically that's not going to happen. There are people, I've said it before, in the face of all the evidence, will continue to vote Liberal. Will believe the lies, will believe the mainstream media, will believe the propaganda they're taught, are brainwashed and don't know they're brainwashed, are indoctrinated and don't know they're indoctrinated, or refuse to acknowledge it even when you prove it. Cognitive dissonance, once again. I know there are people out there who will still vote Liberal in spite of everything. These poor, deluded, unpatriotic idiots who are complicit in the destruction of this country. And that's not an exaggeration. What I'm asking you out there, anybody watching this, look up the name Norman Traversy. See what he's doing. Get behind him if you can. God knows I'd love to win the lottery because I'd contribute $500,000 to this guy's fund campaign against the government. But he's got a lot of people. He's like out of pocket, probably thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars pursuing this as a private citizen. It's not with the backing of a party, not with the backing of a special interest group. This is a patriotic Canadian private citizen who's educated himself as to the law and is using the law to expose a corrupt government. Now, we've seen this done before where a private citizen has educated himself in regards to the law, and I will bring up the name Daniel Belofsky. Any firearms owner in Toronto, and maybe even in Ontario, should be familiar with that name. He took the Chief Firearms Officer of Ontario to court, educated himself as to the law, fought a court case, actually had a legal order served by a judge on the Chief Firearms Officer of Ontario, who then ignored a legal court order. Think about that. This is an officer of the province who ignored a legal court order because he didn't like it. That is what Canada has sunk to. That kind of arrogance, that kind of contempt for what Canada is and stands for, that kind of contempt for the law and for the Canadian people. Who finds this acceptable? How can anybody in their right mind find this acceptable? I don't know. My last post, You Don't Matter. If you didn't watch it, watch it. I want to see Canadians matter again. The average guy, the little guys. Retired people like me, young people have a chance maybe at a future in this country because they don't now. So if you love this country, if you truly love this country as I do, if you are truly as disheartened as I am at what's happening here and now, please get involved. Please get active. Talk to friends. Talk to neighbors. The longest journey begins with a single step. Start taking those steps. Start heading out on that journey to make Canada a great country once again, to bring us back to our pride, to our rightful place in the world, to the respect that Canada earned and under the Liberal government has now lost, where the office of Prime Minister is a noble office and a respected office, not an international joke. So help us. Help me save Canada. Thank you. Have a good day.